possibility that a week or 2 weeks from now he disappears into the ether and the whole story disappears into the ether and the Communist Party kind of reunites? Or do you think this thing's gonna play for a lot longer?
Well, that's what the Communist Party would want, right?
Are you accusing me of talking the Communist Party line?
You seem to have a certain affinity with their thinking. This is kind of interesting. I'm surprised. The Communist Party would love for that to happen because, first and foremost, as our Jeremy Page in Beijing has been very, very smartly writing, they want to project a sense of unity to the public, because that's basically their only credibility with the public. We're unified, we're a solid governing body, we bring you economic well-being, leave the politics to us, don't get involved.
Well, it's kind of worked for the last 20 or 30 years,
Yeah, it has, with a couple of blips along the way. It has worked very well. And so right in the middle of leadership change, this is when it's happening this year. Along comes this extraordinary scandal, and it's extraordinary because it's a guy right at the top. Here's a man who was seeking to ascend to the standing committee of the party, which is the 9 top guys. And he had sort of beaten up foreign business in Chongqing. He had managed to sort of cultivate this sort of feeling of nostalgia for Mao. It had been a problem for the party. So in a way, this scandal helps him get rid of what some in the party would see as a problem. In another respect, it creates a much larger issue for them, and it shows the fracturing and the divisions within the party.
But isn't it also the case that, look, as long as the Chinese economy is growing, can it paper over and affect the political cracks? If you have a healthy relative economy, can you paper over sort of the political issues that are bubbling up, I'm sure, in the regions and in different parts of the country? Is economic growth enough to get by today?
You could probably say that for almost any political realm, right? If things are going well economically, if people are making money, if they have 401ks, they are fully funded and they're going up, a lot can be excused on the political front. 8% growth, if it dips below that, if you begin to see people coming from the hinterlands, from the rural area, and about half the population is still, on the farm, we've talked about this before, if the urbanization process continues and they're not able to create enough jobs for those people, if they're not able to kind of create a sense of equality within the new economic class in China, who see the state-owned enterprises and the Politburo and their sons and daughters in favored positions as a source of frustration and inequality, if you can't resolve those issues, that's a political problem for you.
The U.S. posture so far out of Washington has been kind of let them sort it out, kind of.
We still don't know what went on in the consulate, right?
Not wanting to get involved.
Right.
And that's continuing to be the posture. I mean, is there really anything that the U.S. can or should be doing about what is largely an internal political affair?
So Bo Xilai's head of security races off in a panic, obviously concerned about his own safety, into the U.S. consulate and stays there overnight. Wouldn't you have wanted to be a fly on the wall in those discussions, right? We still don't know what went on inside the consulate. You're right. The U.S. has been kind of holding back on this. I think that they see this as very much of a domestic problem. There's nothing for them to gain by sort of weighing in. The British are weighing in fairly heavily. Why? Because it's their citizen who the Chinese now say was killed. And so they're asking why. Why was Bo Xilai's wife arrested on these charges? What happened? Why was the body cremated before an autopsy could be performed? This is kind of a pretty sordid affair. It's not going to go away in a few weeks, and it's having ramifications on the party.
What should we be looking for next? What is the sort of next thing that's going to happen that could either we just forget about the whole thing, or we go, oh, you see, that's important.
Yeah. Well, they've already bumped him out of his role, right? So he's been defenestrated, and now you see the process play out and the rule of law in big quotation marks take effect for his wife. We'll see what happens if she gets put in prison.
Are they purging the ranks of his people in Chongqing?
The next big thing is how much instability does this cause, because you had a big player with a whole bunch of acolytes knocked out of the system. The other issue is whether or not U.S. business looks at this and says, this is kind of a little bit unsettling. Maybe we're not going to move ahead with our investment plans. My sense of that, I'm doubtful that that's going to happen. I think U.S. business
don't
overcomes
underestimate
their
the size of the greed of size of the market there, or the relative greed of anybody involved.